make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know. But they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching.
A lot of questions. A lot of questions, Mel. Mel, a message tonight.
You know, I'll sift through the remains of my place and see if I can find any clues for you.
I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to cover. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish.
You know, people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't.
Mel Gibson has just taken another shot at Gavin Newsom in their ongoing public clash, and this one is as intense as it is hard to ignore. The two have been going back and forth since last year's devastating California wildfires, with no sign of things settling down anytime soon. Gibson, whose Pacific Palisades home was destroyed in the fires, is now urging Californians to vote Newsom out and replace him with someone he believes can actually lead. His comments have quickly spread across social media, sparking strong reactions and plenty of heated responses. And all the biggest moments are already making waves, so stick around, because this story is heating up fast.
Mel, any message from you to Governor Newsom or Karen Bass tonight?
Spend less on hair gel.
Short, sharp, and hard to ignore, California's governor seems more focused on his polished image than on the people he's meant to serve, and that's exactly what's driving Mel Gibson up the wall. Gavin Newsom is often seen as image-conscious, with that slick, camera-ready look that rarely changes. While critics argue the state is dealing with serious challenges, high taxes, heavy regulations, public unrest, rising homelessness, and cities struggling with cleanliness and safety. And the big question being raised is simple. Is enough being done? Because to some, it feels like leadership is taking a back seat while everyday Californians are left to deal with the consequences.
California Governor Gavin Newsom is now calling his city's homeless encampments unacceptable, which is odd since he's the guy who, made them acceptable, turning sidewalks into red carpet events for drug addicts, thieves, and unemployed CNN anchors.
Mel Gibson and Greg Gutfeld didn't hold back, taking direct aim at Gavin Newsom and blaming his policies for pushing California in the wrong direction. They argued that instead of effectively addressing homelessness, his approach has allowed the problem to grow, with more encampments appearing in major cities and raising concerns about safety and living conditions. Critics say the situation has led to visible issues like trash buildup and public health risks, changing the feel of neighborhoods that once thrived. Under Newsom's leadership, they claim the state has lost some of its shine, and just weeks ago, even Donald Trump weighed in, adding his own criticism to the growing debate.
I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to cover. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish.
You know, people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't.
How was what Donald Trump said even political? It wasn't a partisan attack. It was a blunt reality. Gavin Newsom is on record for allowing the destruction of a dam that could have helped control the devastating Palisades fire. Why? To protect a single endangered fish and appease a few local indigenous groups. That's not leadership. It's risky decision-making disguised as environmental heroism. That dam could have provided crucial water reserves for firefighters, potentially saving homes, wildlife, and lives. Instead, Newsom chose optics over action, prioritizing image over real solutions, and now Californians are bearing the heavy cost of those choices.
I can make all kinds of horrible theories up in my head, conspiracy theories and everything else, but it just seemed a little convenient that there was no water, and and that the wind conditions were right, and that there are people ready and willing and able to start fires. And are they commissioned to do so, or are they just acting on their own volition? I don't know. But they seem pretty well equipped, some of these people that they're catching.
A lot of questions. A lot of questions, Mel. Mel, a message
Yeah,
tonight.
you know, I'll sift through the remains of my place and see if I can find any clues for you.
Now things really spiral into high drama. Investigators found that some of the Pacific Palisades fires may have been started by local teens or possibly a few transient campers, but what shocked everyone were the items seized during arrests. Authorities uncovered fire accelerants, protective gear, and crude ignition devices, things no ordinary kid or casual camper would carry. The scene painted a chilling picture, almost like the acts were planned or even orchestrated. Mel Gibson isn't giving Gavin Newsom a moment's benefit of the doubt. He sees it as yet another potential case of political theater, a crisis leveraged for control, manipulation, and federal funding. To Gibson, it's a dark pattern repeating itself. Disaster conveniently turned into a tool for power.
Welcome to a new segment called Gavin's Hands. He keeps his hands in motion and his hair full of lotion. True, Gavin's views may be idiotic, but his hands moves, well, they're hypnotic. California Governor Newsom's new podcast is out. It's available wherever fine hair care products are sold.
The most frustrating part of this whole saga. Gavin Newsom is launching his own podcast, and yes, it's every bit as self-important as it sounds. He presents it as a place for honest conversations with critics or admired voices. But the reality is clear. This is a carefully staged publicity move designed to polish his image, gauge public reaction, and quietly set the stage for a future presidential run. Every guest, every question, and every scene is controlled, soft, and sanitized to protect his narrative. This podcast isn't about genuine dialogue, it's about self-promotion. Every episode screams ambition, not authenticity, and Mel Gibson sees straight through it.
Wonders why Dems lost.
We lost the popular vote and we lost the electoral vote. We got crushed. And we need to be humble about that, and we need to have some grace, and we need to understand why. Was it because of the incumbency penalty? Was it because of inflation? Was it because of interest rates? Was it because of immigration? Was it because we were too, quote unquote,
Kennedy, I think the answer is yes. Was
it because of Israel? Yes. Interest rates? Yes. Too woke?
Once again, Gavin Newsom has erupted in a dramatic meltdown over the 2024 elections, and it's revealing. The reality? Few in the Democratic camp truly believed Donald Trump could make a comeback. For years, they painted him as the ultimate villain, certain his reputation was ruined. Meanwhile, Trump quietly rebuilt, sharpened his message, and turned every Biden-era mistake into momentum for his return. Democrats, on the other hand, focused on insults and flashy media stunts instead of real solutions. When the votes came in, Trump shocked them all. Newsom's latest outburst isn't just anger, it's fear. The narrative they controlled for so long is collapsing, and Trump's comeback has thrown their carefully constructed house of cards into chaos.
So the issues of audits, I mean, I was commenting when I was with President Trump, we talked about the high-speed rail, and there was some discussion, before the public presentation on high-speed rail last week around audits. I think we've been audited 100 times there. Happy to see another audit. At a certain point, you have audit fatigue. I think at the end of the day, people want outcomes and they want results for their money spent. Audits for audit's sake service no one, just services headlines. What people want is problems solved, and they want to see it. They want to believe it. They don't want to hear it, and they don't want to hear excuses and rhetoric.
The turning point came when Donald Trump finally said enough and launched an official audit of California's high-speed rail project, and it was long overdue. For years, this so-called transformational project has swallowed hundreds of millions in taxpayer money, leaving Californians with little more than a few lonely tracks and a mountain of bureaucratic excuses. Costs keep climbing, deadlines keep slipping, and accountability has all but vanished. When Trump announced the audit, Gavin Newsom fired back, claiming the project had been audited countless times. But let's be honest, those audits were little more than political theater with scripted outcomes. This time, though, Newsom panicked. A genuine audit could finally expose the mismanagement, incompetence, and possible corruption hidden within California's most overblown infrastructure disaster. And he knew the walls were closing in.
In 2019, I think Newsom said, I'm going to take care of the forests and maintain the forests and do all that kind of stuff. He didn't do anything.
And then on top of that, they cut the water off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's all funny. And then I think all our tax dollars probably went for Gavin's hair gel. I don't know, but it's like, it's sad. It's like the place is just on fire.
Well, the whole state is just so poorly managed.
Joe Rogan, a former California resident, joined the debate and didn't hold back. He openly lamented how the Golden State, once full of opportunity, innovation, and creative energy, had descended into chaos under Gavin Newsom's leadership. In his words, California had become merely unlivable, weighed down by sky-high living costs, endless regulations, and a toxic wave of cancel culture. The state that once inspired dreamers had turned into a place of fear, censorship, and frustration. Rogan, who once thrived in Los Angeles, now uses his platform to highlight just how far things have fallen. And he's not alone. He didn't leave just for taxes. Creativity was being stifled, freedoms were disappearing, and the culture had eroded. Thousands have followed, voting with their feet and abandoning the California collapse.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. Now, as we experience rampant lawlessness and civil unrest, it's never been more clear they're unable to respond effectively and responsibly during calamity. Whether it's sheer incompetence or outright malevolence, the reality is stark. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have clearly run out of ideas, and Californians are noticing. Under their watch, the state has sunk further into crisis with rising homelessness, crime, inflation, and an overstuffed bureaucracy. Cities that once thrived now resemble war zones, with sidewalks crowded with tents, businesses closing, and working families fleeing in frustration. The progressive policies they tout have delivered little more than headlines and empty promises. Meanwhile, Mel Gibson, a lifelong Californian, has hit his breaking point, and he's far from alone. A growing wave of angry residents is demanding accountability, tired of being ignored. While politicians chase photo ops and media applause, Californians aren't just frustrated, they're furious. And that fury is turning into a movement for real leadership, not polished showmanship. This time, the people are ready for change, and they mean business.
Now, I understand you offered Gavin Newsom help in handling his unrest. I understand that didn't go over too well.
Yeah, they accused us of trying to, quote, escalate. But I can tell you what escalates the situation is being a sanctuary state. What escalates the situation is tolerating the looting and the rioting and the burning of these vehicles and attacks on law enforcement. And we do it just the opposite in Florida. When the 2020 riots were happening in Minneapolis, California, all these other places, we didn't let that happen in Florida. But we also recognize, like, this is what the left does. So we did landmark anti-rioting legislation.
This is leadership done right. Ron DeSantis has laid out a bold, no-nonsense blueprint for real governance, something Gavin Newsom could learn from. DeSantis enforced strict anti-riot laws, making it clear lawlessness wouldn't be tolerated. He prioritized public safety, deploying officers quickly and decisively to prevent chaos from spreading. Florida stayed calm because its leadership acted with courage, clarity, and conviction. Meanwhile, back in California, Newsom has caved to soft-on-crime policies, hesitated to support law enforcement, and prioritized optics over citizen safety. The contrast is stark. Florida stayed strong, while California struggled in confusion. DeSantis' approach isn't about politics, it's about results, discipline, and safety. If Newsom truly cared, he'd drop the performance and follow proven strategies to restore order and rebuild trust. That wraps up today's story. If you liked it, hit like and subscribe for more shocking updates, because this saga is far from over.